Call to order, DPW facilities meeting, October 6th. Roll call.
Smith present.
Burchett here.
Marini here.
Gauthier here.
Chandler online.
We can't see you.
Okay, meeting minutes from September 18th, 22nd, and 24th. Any comments on those?
Yeah, I had a couple of things about the 22nd.
Yep.
That the Holden facility had a problem with the laminate floor is wrong, that it had a problem with the vinyl,
Oh, sorry.
right? And that the Westford facility had floors holding up better than, because they had vinyl floors and they were holding up better than Holden, which kind of proved that what they were suspecting, I think what Tony said to me, that it was an installation problem in Holden.
That's what we believe, yeah.
Yeah. But when you look at the vinyl floors, they seem with the right maintenance to hold up. So it's questionable whether it's worth spending money on the epoxy or not. We have to do a cost analysis.
Yeah, I think once we start going through the design, we'll look at
Right.
all different options of finishes and stuff.
But that's the
Okay.
sort of stuff we also picked up while we were walking around. Okay.
So I'll make a change on the laminate to VCT.
Yep.
I'll initial that too. Anything on the other two meeting minutes?
I had no problems. Did
No.
you?
I make a motion, we accept the minutes with the updated changes that Planning pointed out.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Public session. We have a full house today, so anybody from the public want to speak or address anything? No? Okay. I'm sure they will after we get into some more stuff, but next thing, private versus public construction costs. So there's been a lot of talk since we kind of started this whole committee about the cost of private facilities versus municipal facilities and the kind of the process you have to go through. So there is a memo here from Weston and Sampson that addresses a lot of these. This was back in 24. Mike Richards put together. We can go over that if we want, or we can just kind of dive into if there's any questions about it.
Well, I think it's an important issue because we have also in our packet a report from Mark and Joe King about their visit to a facility recently completed in Lancaster. And I think we should just put it out for discussion that the difference between what we have to do by law as a public facility and what a private company can do, on their property. I mean, they didn't even have a designer for that building, nor did they need it. But we could not get away with that, nor could we even get away without having an OPM. I don't know. I don't want to do all the talking here, though.
You're preaching to the choir when you're talking to me because procurement laws in this state are absurd. They really are. And generally it drives the price, if not twice, three times what on anything, whether it's a truck or a snowplow or a building, it doesn't matter. It's really crazy.
I was gonna say, let's at least brief on what we're talking about here. Maybe
Yes.
let Mark
Yes, thank
explain
you.
what he wrote together in the notes and stuff, and if you want to, Mark, or I can glaze over them if you'd like. And for the Monroe wire cable building, if you want.
Sure. These are Joe's notes as usual. He
Okay.
did all the work. But I was there. What we wanted to do was educate ourselves because like John was saying, that this is a topic of discussion that we're hearing. Why is it so much? Dave says 2 or 3 times. Well, 2 or 3 times 7.3 million is not 32 million. So it's just the numbers that are so difficult. And we're looking at, a small town compared to the places we visited. You know, Sterling has 8,300 people this year. Holden's around 20, as is Hudson. And I think they have more industry than we do. So it's just, I understand, and believe me, you have all heard my feelings on the need, I think, to provide safety and storage and all that. I really believe that. But I'd like to be able to understand and have the people who are going to be voting on this understand exactly why it's 6 times as high as what we saw. And we saw a 60,000 square foot building. Okay, and we just say, you know, we keep throwing our hands in the air and saying it is what it is. It is what it is, but it is what it is. We're a very small town, and to fund this, you know, we're gonna have to get support of the people. And I'm just, you know, I've been saying all along, are we rushing into this? Should we, put the brakes on a bit? Or just see what happens at the votes, you know, that's not gonna cost anything to do that. So that's the reason. It's not to be, you know, negative, but you know, from what you hear, it's gonna be a very difficult thing to pass. That's why we did it. I mean, the numbers are there. I don't know, what was your impression?
I'm gonna let Jonathan talk on it because he's way more technical than I am when it comes to building construction. So
Yeah.
he was with me.
So Ryan and I walked the building on Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
I mean, the building works for Monroe fine. It would not work for, it would not fit into a public, process. The structure was a lot less, how would I say, rigid, and the members were a lot smaller. There's nothing being hung from the ceiling. So like a municipal building like here, you're gonna have cranes hung from the ceiling. You're gonna have multiple different types of mechanical equipment. So things like that were a lot different. I did reach out to the company that did the steel. So I talked to them. That building versus what we would expect is probably less than a half of what we would have for steel, just pounds per square footage, because of it's such a lightweight facility versus what we would need to do. There's also Weston Sampson can address it too, but the code for a municipal building, which is a first responder building, is much higher than a private industrial building. There's no way around that. Just the Massachusetts, you have to follow those laws. They did not have a general contractor. They did not have an architect. They did all the site work themselves. Those are huge numbers. State requires bonding for all the subcontractors and general contracts. They require pre-qualified bidders for everything. Even the upstairs of his facility, which is a mezzanine has offices, didn't have an elevator or a second means of egress, which we would need if we did that, something like that. So, I mean, it works great for a private facility, but it wouldn't work for a municipal facility.
And let's make it clear, like, I wish it would.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I
If
mean?
it would, it would be a lot easier.
Right. I wish it would work. You walk in like, oh my God, look at all this space. This is fantastic. You know, you can build out from that space and whatnot. And I wish that, you know, we had a great conversation with David, and it was like, I wish that we could build this for this, you know what I mean? And it was funny, like we went through the exercise. When this memo came out, we had gone to Google AI and typed in, what does a warehouse cost in Australia? If you go to Google AI and type in, what will a municipal building cost to build in Massachusetts, right? The numbers are exactly what we're proposing. And it gives a whole list of, so it's not, again, and I think Jonathan, you and I've kind of talked about this a lot, like there's not a secret in Sterling that we can circumvent all this other municipal stuff, you know, that all these other towns can't figure out, at least not that we found. I would love to find that.
Yeah, and the only one that came up was this Townsend facility,
Right.
But that was a gift. So it wasn't like they leased back. Someone built it, gifted it to the town.
Right.
So if someone would like to do that, that would be great. But I don't think there's any other avenues besides going through the whole procurement process.
Yeah,
that
we were trying to
need
find more information on that Townsend thing. We couldn't find a ton of information.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was kind of our takeaways. I think it works great for them. I wish it would work great for us. I wish we could go build a building like that. I go back to the subs, you know, like what we were talking about is subcontractors, your plumber, your fire protection. It's all like local guys, right? I wish we could make a phone call and say, hey, can you come wire this for us? Can you come do? We can. They have to be DCAM certified. They have to, and I hate to keep going back to the state, but like, that's where we end up. And that drives this cost. Bill had sent me some numbers. Private sector laborer might earn 25 to 30 an hour. Prevailing wage rate for the same trade can be 60 to 80 plus the benefits. So that's just labor, you know, and I don't know if materials are different besides the
Well, code
different
requirements.
right? But not like, oh, this is going to public. We don't pay tax. That's
No.
one benefit.
No.
Tax free.
But
And so is all this
code
stuff
required
going
things would push it up.
Right.
There was a couple of things on this site. They had town water and town sewer. We're not lucky enough to have that, so we're gonna have, we do have town water, excuse me,
Yeah,
but
right.
a lot further from the road, but town sewer, we're gonna have to have
Something.
septic. Package steel, the subcontractor who did the whole steel and the envelope to the building, so they would bid on a project like this, but it's a different.
Like ours, you mean?
Correct. They would bid on, they do a lot of municipal buildings. They're actually doing a few with Weston and Sampson right now. But the price point is a lot different versus private versus public. So I mean, I don't know where, I think what Weston and Sampson put together, I think maybe we put something together with this information from our committee that says, kind of outlines the procurement procedures and why the cost is so high. And maybe that would be good to send out to the public, but I don't know if there's any way around it.
I think it's tricky to say that why the cost is so high because you're comparing to something that's not at all comparable. So I don't think that should be a basis of any presentation.
I guess it should be just the whole procedure and why public process drives up the cost, or why the public process is what it is.
You have to have an architect for a project.
Yeah.
If you have your own equipment and you have somebody on your payroll that's going to run the project for you, you know, they check a lot of boxes that is great that you can do in the private sector when you have a lot of that capability on your payroll that somehow doesn't make it into the project.
Correct.
But that's not what municipal construction is.
Yep.
You know, not just Sterling. And we've shown that this type of building, we're right on the lower end of the cost range for this type of building that has this type of use requirements in the building. So it isn't a matter of saying, why is this so expensive? You know, it's because of procurement, because of all these things. This type of building in this state, this is what it is. And we can explain the rules.
Yeah.
You know, we can explain, I mean, I don't know how many people get through the first page of explaining procurement rules and requirements in the state. But, you know, I don't know. I guess that's
Yeah.
the conversation for the night. What tack are we going to take here tonight? You know, for the next 6 weeks. Is it a defensive tack? And is it an informational tack to get out there and say, this is the need? And these are comparable facilities, and this is our process. First this approval, and then the next approval. I think it's an information presenting tack, not a defensive tack, because the first, what we've just discussed, is not even close to being comparable. You didn't mention the fuel island and the salt.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
Correct.
that are in
Yes.
this project that aren't. So, you know, there's a lot there.
Or truck wash.
I had thought this morning, like, you know, we spent so much time talking about how do we sell the need for the project. Like, I haven't talked to anyone, well, select few, who question the need for the project. You know what I mean? So now, is it more about just selling the cost of the project or selling the magnitude of the project, not as much the need? Like, should that be our focus instead? You know, I think it's kind of a matter of how would we do that? Or like Steve said, like, I don't want to be defensive and confrontational over all this stuff. It's not what we're trying to do. You know, we're not hiding anything. There's nothing to hide. Like, we're not trying to hide anything. So, you know, what's the best way to push this project forward and give it our best effort and see what happens, you know? Mark, I just wanted to ask you, we talked a lot about like pumping the brakes. What does that look like to you? What do you envision there? Like waiting until the spring for something, or what do you envision if we were to?
I would envision, at least taking enough time, and we don't have that, to look at alternatives. Which I understand why you don't like building just a storage and maintenance building. But a lot of people think that that's the most important thing, is to get the safety taken care of. And I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's gonna happen. I have a feeling what's gonna happen with the world. But I don't wanna say things, try to sway. But, if it takes 2, 3, 4 years, because we are focused on only one solution to the problem, that may have an impact on the cost as well,
It will.
you know?
It definitely will.
So in answer to your question, yeah, I'd like to see some more, and I know we have to appropriate money to keep everybody on the payroll here. So it's very frustrating, I would love to have this building built just the way you want it. Is it practical? I don't know. I can't solve the problem. Again, going back to the reason we went over there was to just educate ourselves and to bring up a discussion like this
Yep.
and have a reason to discuss it, because this is what people are saying,
Yeah, it's eye-opening, for sure. I think it's frustrating for all of us,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So
Of
how do
course.
we convey to the people that this is a frustrating part of it, but it's part of it,
So is it mostly the people on the finance committee that are questioning, you think, or?
I don't know.
Okay, I was just wondering, because I think everyone on the finance committee, I'm hoping, understands the procedure we have to follow, and it's the mass public law procedure. I mean, if it's people just in the public, then that's another, I think we can address.
Well, the finance committee can understand that doesn't mean they're gonna vote for it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think with the options, I mean, we can spend the time to study options. We kind of stopped doing anything on this a year ago now.
This building, you mean?
This building.
No.
If we had a option where we're building a storage facility, you would have to then put bathrooms, locker rooms. So you'd have all the infrastructure down there. I don't think it's going to save you much money. It's going to save you a little bit of money, but then you'd be spending money back here upgrading this. So I think we could do the study, but my guess it's not
How do
going
we
to save.
present that, right? How do we go through the exercise of presenting that? Because obviously phasing's come up a ton, and phasing to me would be phase one, salt, fuel, all the site. By the way, we need some sort of building down there to store a loader because the salt's down there. So like that would need a bathroom, which would mean a septic, so like that would be
Right.
phase one, essentially, would be like if we were to just do all the site stuff.
Ryan, can I just elaborate?
Yeah, please.
The building would not just need a bathroom because you have to provide facilities. It would be required by the code.
Right,
You
right.
would have to put in a bathroom. Now
Yeah.
you're running in water and installing a septic system. So even just building a simple shell of a building
Yeah,
comes with some of these other additional costs that are not optional.
right. And that would just be like flat pad site prep for a future building, right? Whenever that would be, if it was to go further and we were to build a vehicle storage or something that, we'd have to look at how that would look, I guess, money wise. But to me, like if you're going to phase it, like that would have to be phase one.
See, I would like to just share. I've been having a lot of conversations with townspeople about this because we're missing a very important point. is that this building is a ticking time bomb from a dollar standpoint. And I don't think that's an overstatement. I think you're looking at potentially millions of dollars, if not tens of millions, just to fix this building legally. And that's going to happen very quickly. So time is of the essence because this building is in worse shape, I think, than most people understand. Like, if you want to, we can go for a walk on the roof, and it's nice. You can just walk like that on the roof. On a public building that's supposed to protect people who are first responders. Now, this is a serious problem, and you can't, if you don't talk about that, so as part of, Steve, as part of the answer, what we're talking about, this protection is, we're running out of time because of delayed maintenance. We really are running out of time because of delayed maintenance. That's number one. Number two, the costing here. We see the increase every year of these kind of expenses. In other words, let's say we're projecting in 2026 a $33 million total budget, but it'll probably come in under that. But let's pretend that we put it off for another year. Now, all of a sudden, what is it, 40 million? Can we afford that anymore? Is that even easier to spend? If you chop it into pieces, the 33 million becomes 40 or 42 or 48. You will never, ever, ever do it for less than doing it all at once. And every contractor, every architect, every developer will tell you this, that no matter what, the cheapest thing to do is the whole thing all at once. And that is not rocket science. It's just obvious to those of us who've been in the industry. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't consider other options. I am saying, and Tony, call me out on this if you disagree, that a design process will automatically bring up these conversations, because a design process does that, doesn't it?
Right.
And so the reason we're not really pushing back on the idea of developing different options is because we know, by matter of fact, as we go through the process, we will be developing different options, because that's what a quality design process does. So if anybody thinks that we're just all sitting here and going like, all right, whatever we want, let's make it as big as possible, let's spend as much as possible, not one person involved is doing that. And so what we really have to do is trust the process, the design process, a little more, I think, than what you guys are. I mean, it's a different kind of design process because it's municipality. And I think I've spoken enough about this, but this is what I've been selling my people who I talk about, and they go like, oh boy. Yep, go for it.
Excellent responses, and appreciate your time and effort in addressing these. Again, what we were trying to do is bring this conversation up, bring it to a head, because I think it's the most important thing. I think it's more important than what side of the fuel station the pumps are on.
Right.
This is our immediate problem right now.
Mhm.
And everybody on the finance committee wants to solve the problem. Okay, so that's why this was brought up. I think the answers you guys have come up with have been excellent. I thought the presentation was great that was put together by you guys, and I said so. So please don't take this as,
Not,
you've done a very good job of explaining it, I think. And I guess we'll have to see what happens.
but I know I'll commit, and I'm sure Tony and everybody else will as well, that we will be constantly throughout the design process, looking at other options.
And let's kind of shift gears to back to the selling part. Maybe that
Okay.
needs to be a bigger piece. We're not asking for 33 million, and we're gonna be spending the 2.2 we're asking for, whether it's phased or not phased, or, you know what I mean? So like, no one's asking, if this goes forward and, you know,
Right.
no one needs to, it's not a rubber stamp for the second piece, right? But in order to get to that second piece, whatever it may look like, we need to get through this first piece. Like, and this first piece isn't going to change. It actually might be more if we say now that we're going to phase it or we're going to do X, Y, and Z. But like, that's the kind of stuff that, you know, we literally have boxes on paper at this point. And yes, we're trying to slowly move forward and look at where do we want to put the fuel island, where do we want to do this, where do we want to do that? Because at this point, this project isn't dead. Like, and by the, it's not gonna die whether it passes or fails. Like, it's not gonna go away. So progress still needs to be made amongst the selling of said project. But maybe we just need to be, or we need to make sure that we're consistent in that message that, look, this is the design portion, and I know it's a lot. It's not what people are used to. Here's why it costs that much, and here's the different things that can come out of it, which is, well, honestly, that end project number. You know what I mean? And I mean that's the way I look at it. But
Yes.
Probably the best way to educate is to do it at the town meeting,
that's
because you're gonna have,
piece.
you're gonna have the people there that are gonna decide,
Yep.
okay? We've seen these little clinics we've tried to put on and nobody comes. You know, we talk to each other.
We did one last year. We had 3 people.
Yeah, so I would say that the presentation for the meeting is gonna make or break it.
Right. I completely agree with you.
And
And I think it helped us in May, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
But you've
you know,
got to
we all met one
emphasize-
vote, right? But the hard part about the meeting is that we also need to educate outside of that for the ballot people, right? I'd be interested to see what the poll numbers are, you know, I hope it's good, but I
Yeah.
don't know, you know,
but if we could stress
one
what
step
we,
at a time.
yeah, if we could
Right.
stress at the town meeting what we discussed tonight, and again, I thought it was very convincing, all of you.
Right.
I'm not speaking for the finance committee,
Right.
but, you know, phasing doesn't, you know, I was talking to you about phasing.
Yep.
And it doesn't sound like it's real. And John,
But it might be something that we come up with as a reasonable option. I don't think it will, but it might out of the design process.
What about
I guess I
On-
trust that.
on the town website? We have our kind of page.
We have a page, well,
We talked about-
we just gained an actual page.
Okay.
That's new in the last like week, because we had so many meetings. So all the meetings were tied to the DPW board for a while.
Okay.
Now they're tied to our committee, which generated a page for our committee. I don't know that our office staff can go in and edit it yet, but we do have our project page, or is on the DPW website, and it has like the FinCom presentation, the video tour, a couple other PowerPoints that we've done, the programs on there, some concepts on there.
What about questions and answers? Like,
No,
Big
Brian, are you
news.
working on those or? Oh, you're,
I am. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, and I apologize for not being there in person, but just to a larger point, it kind of makes me think about the messaging and the presentation and what really needs to be educated on this. I have a document up. It's the 202-page Inspector General handbook for designing and constructing public facilities, and I know that we've all kind of put some comments together to kind of put a cheat sheet together of just factual on what the process is. And so what I'm wondering is putting that frequently asked questions, which is boiling down a lot of this handbook into some questions, or even put it into the voice of a taxpayer that's asking, why can't we do this for what Monroe Wire paid, or something like that, where I'm hoping maybe we could get some involvement with the procurement officer here in town or Bill to help answer those questions on the route that the town has to go per this handbook, and maybe even implement that into the beginning of a presentation, just so that regardless of how people vote, they're educated on the facts on the process of how this has to work. So yes, we will have those FAQs that we can put up onto the website. And I think it should be a living document that's growing. And if something comes up at one of these meetings that we feel is a very pertinent question, that we include it on there.
Brian, maybe we can spend some time on Wednesday.
Wednesday, perfect.
And I think I sent you FAQs we had for the previous town meeting.
Yes.
You kind of incorporate all that stuff. And I think, like Mark said, the most important thing that we do is going to be that town meeting presentation. And we should start working on that now. You know what I mean? There's plenty of time. I will get with the moderator and get a time that he'll provide us. My guess is it'll be 10-ish minutes. We got 5 at the last meeting, but there was a lot more articles. If I can get 15, that'd be great, but I'm not sure that I can. So I'll do everything I can to get as much time as we can get.
Yes, Steve.
I have an additional thing that I think is equally important, which would be a mailer. Because if we present a town meeting, that's great, but I think there'll be a lot of folks that didn't even realize there was a town meeting.
The mailer's tough because how's it get funded?
Well, the project can fund an informational document, and I think that is more important than a presentation at town meeting, because if we state the need, people say, geez, I don't even know what a DPW facility is. But if we provide what is happening, what the steps are, because we know there are a couple of steps, we know what they are, but I don't, it's not intuitive that we're doing this ask, and we need a town meeting vote and a ballot vote. Then we're going to come back again with a big number with a bid in hand. So we've got a reasonably detailed few steps there, but it's easily summarized with some bullets in a document. And if we can get that to every door in town, everybody will know what we're doing.
Right.
We can reference the website, we
Really
can reference all the things. The webpage is great. Maybe, I don't know what the percentage is of folks that never go to the town website ever.
Most.
Or happen to realize there's a new page. All those things we can identify and mail it to every single door, and the project can fund it. And I think that is the most important thing that we do. We can hold other public facility presentations, and the half a dozen people that show up will learn a lot. We know that. We know how that goes. It's also, as we know, a bit of box checking, because we hold those meetings. If you don't hold those meetings, say, well, geez, you didn't hold any meetings. We know how that goes.
Right.
It's just what it is. But if we mail out to everybody and put, information that is further contact, but will be at town meeting, make the same presentation, maybe there'll be good questions at town meeting from folks that may not ordinarily attend. What is this project? Help me understand some of these things a little bit better and come up with a good educated decision following the information presented to their doorstep. So that's what I suggest. And as part of this discussion, eventually we'd like to get to a permission direction that we can get going on that, bring that back and get that process started.
Right.
I would suggest as well, along with that flyer, but before it would be distributed, is to have a quick meeting with town council with your guys's recommendation, just to have him review it, make sure that he's on board with it before it gets distributed to the taxpayers.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if we do
swaying
that,
the project in either direction, purely information.
we want to do that in the next week or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we could do a scan to the video and stuff like that, that'd be great as well.
QR code, we can do that easily.
Be really small print.
Yeah.
We'll get it all in.
How about if we include in this information the cost of like we did on the total $33 million? What would the cost to fund which would now be about 2.8 million if we roll in the 500? 5-year bond? And, so people could say, okay, it's not gonna cost $50 a month to do this.
My fear is that it gets really, it's really confusing. You know what I mean? You're saying that if it doesn't move forward and it gets the 500 gets wrapped into 5
Yeah.
years versus 30?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah. I mean,
Just, you know,
right.
everybody I talked to
I've
said,
thought about how to sell that part,
yeah,
but I feel weird selling it. It almost feels like an ultimatum, and I don't like giving ultimatums. You know what I
No, no,
mean?
Right.
no,
Like,
the way Steve described it, you know, this is what we need to do to keep this going.
right,
Okay, sell, you know, can we sell that?
right, right.
At what
You know,
point,
it's not, yeah, go ahead.
at what point does the 500,000, would we have to start paying that back? Like, do you know, like if this kept continuing?
Bill's on.
Oh, Bill's
Yeah.
online, okay.
Hey, Bill.
I don't know if he's
If this
tied up.
fails a
Texting me. He'll
few
probably
town
text me in a
meetings,
minute,
I
tell
assume
me
it's,
Oh,
There you
Yeah, so it depends on when we first borrow the funds. So we haven't borrowed anything of the 500 at this point.
we're still in the 50 grand that we got a few years ago. We'll be out of it next month.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So it
and what
will
does that
not.
mean, Bill? Like 1 year after you make your first payment?
So we will likely borrow in the spring. So that'll probably be about a 1 year borrowing or 6 months. It'll be sometime in FY27. So then it starts the clock then.
We're talking the 500,000 that was approved last year.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. You don't mean to say FY27, you meant FY26, right? FY27 be after July 1st.
There will be no payments in 26.
I see what you're saying. The payment would be in FY27.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you. I've been trying to come up with a way to educate the public on that piece for a while, and like, I've never brought it up because I always felt it was a little bit ultimatum-y. It's like, well, you approved this, and you know, it's going to cost you this if we don't keep going, and maybe that's something we need to put out there.
Yeah, it's gonna confuse with that, then the 2.7 total or the 30, like, it,
and the tax impacts, and
I don't know, maybe we put it all out there and
you only have so much space on a paper, though.
Very complicated real quick.
I know.
Mark and I had a conversation about this and that, and I said, you know, that gets awfully complicated.
At which point are we giving too much where people look at it like, this isn't enjoyable to read and toss it in the recycle? You know what I mean? Like,
At least they recycle.
I guess
We
we
hope.
encourage that.
yeah, I think if we put a mailer together, we want it to be one page, so
Mhm.
people actually read it. If it's much more than that, I think they're not gonna read it.
Yeah.
I mean, we can give them place to go to get more information. Maybe we put it on the website.
Right.
QR
codes are a wonderful thing. Everyone has their phone in their hand.
It's definitely.
So should we plan on trying to get something out in the next couple of weeks? Brian, Steve, do you guys want to take the first pass at it? Then we can
Yes.
talk to Bill.
Yeah, we can circle on Wednesday too, to talk about what we want to put in for details. Bill said that he'd happily send it to town council for review. Probably cost, if my numbers are right, like 3,600, $4,000 or so
For the flyer.
in the mail.
Yeah.
And the postage and
Yeah.
everything like that. That's it. The last time we did a full town mailer, I don't remember. The only other thing that I can try to do is talk to the light department, but it's probably too late.
Or to go with their bill.
To go with their bill. So we do that, but if we get them early enough, I'd say to get it before November, we're too late.
Just the timing's off.
Just the timing's off,
Yeah.
which is fine. So I'll work on that. We want color, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
That's what draws people.
Yeah.
Wow.
We kind of touched on number 6 quite a bit there, I'd say, public education. We kind of
Yeah.
wrapped
Yeah.
number 4 and number 6.
We want to go back to the town meeting warrant and ballot vote.
Everyone's good on everything else? No?
Yeah, anything else?
All right, so on the ballot vote, or really all we're really looking at here, so this is proposed, language for the article, the motion. Those come from bond counsel, so that's in Bill's court. He manages those. We don't have say in how those get changed. What we do have say in is the summary.
Right.
We only can provide a summary for the town meeting warrant. We cannot, by law, provide a summary on any ballot questions. So this shows the ballot question, the summary that's below it. As you see at the top, by state law, we're not allowed to include it. So this is just, if we wanted to put out public education, this is an example of what we could put out. But it will not be on the ballot, and we do not have a choice to put it on the ballot. I read through all that AG stuff this morning as well, that Bill sent me. So what I want to look at today is the summary. We need to finalize this summary on Article 2, see if we want to change anything. And then that's the one that has a time crunch, you know, and I'll read it just out loud now. Says this article will fund the remaining portion of the design, permitting, and bidding of the DPW facility. If approved at both town meeting and the following ballot election, the design phase will aggressively move ahead in the winter and spring of 2026. The project will be put out to bid in the summer of 2026 with hopes to return to town meeting with a bid in hand in the fall of 2026, representing the actual cost to construct the facility being proposed. That was my first stab at a summary, but I'm open to.
My reaction is to the word hope. Perhaps have the word plan.
Where's hope?
With
With
hopes.
hopes.
Okay.
Maybe plan,
Plans.
without plans.
Yeah.
Or just, even just.
A plan.
Yeah, right. Better words than this. Hope is great, but
Bill, we have till Wednesday to get this to you, pretty much.
Yes.
What about aggressively? If people are worried we're pushing stuff too fast. Should we just,
We'll move ahead. We can
Yeah.
get rid of aggressively.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna put winter ahead in winter and spring.
yes.
Excuse me, Ryan,
Yeah.
the article language itself, you said that was written by council?
Bond council, yes.
So my only concern or question to this is, it says, costs related to designing a new TPW facility, including schematic and final design. This may be semantics. We have Weston and Sampson and Vertex under contract for schematic design at this point. So in the event we need to go back at another town meeting and we've completed our task as that we're not finished right now, I want to just make sure if there's another way that we can say that schematic, while that includes design, development, construction documents, the bidding portion of that, the schematic portion is under contract currently.
True.
I think that someone will bring that up.
would you want design development there, Brian, or not?
I think that might be cleaner and more appropriate for what this ask is going to be.
So pretty much replace schematic with design development, because
Yeah.
schematic's already under. Okay.
Correct.
And then the next phrase, retaining an owner's project manager. Hasn't the town already retained?
Right.
Does retain also mean keep, or could it mean keep?
I'm not sure.
Hmm.
It could.
Bill, what do you think about that? Or do you
I would say that would keep them under contract.
retaining?
Yeah.
Okay. I had the same impression, Tony, when I first read it, but
Okay.
that was my second employment.
My only request for the ballot is that the wording used here be exactly the same in the ballot as you put in the motion. And that's the words that you use in the article up here,
What do you mean?
the ones you just read off.
Okay.
Okay, I gave you a markup.
Oh, I know. Like I said, talk to Bill about that. I can't. Bill sent me this and said you can't touch it. So
And my only beef was the words in the ballot were different
the
than the words in
Okay.
the warrant article. They should be identical.
Okay.
And just to elaborate with that comment, in the summary at the bottom, a yes vote that says hiring an OPM. So,
Yeah,
okay.
okay. We can't put that anywhere except for on the website, maybe. I'm still kind of looking into that. Bill sent me a document this morning. I don't remember what it was called. Maybe Bill can get it quicker than I can.
Could we have a handout with that going into?
Well,
Or
I'm wondering. Let me pull it
We'll
up.
do a handout. Something.
this
For
would be-
town meeting, yes. For ballot, no.
No. Right. Okay.
That's a great thought, though, to have, maybe similar to the mailer, but for a handout at town meeting. Or whatever that we feel may be needed or helpful there.
All right, so what it says is local officials may not publish and provide voter information materials at public expense, including a summary of the impact a yes or no vote will have on local services. So I know it says on local services, and we're not saying like no means we're cutting XYZ, but I just want to be careful with that language. That's from the Prop 2.5, the DLS guide, the Prop 2.5 ballot questions, requirements, and procedures. So we're just going to be careful with publishing what yeses and nos mean. Does this relate to local services? I don't know. It's not like we're cutting the library or something like that. So it's again, council's going to be a big piece there.
Ryan,
Yep.
the last sentence, I'm wondering if that's not backwards. Maybe it's just the way these things get written, but isn't,
What are you looking at?
no, I'm sorry, I apologize. The yes vote under summary for the ballot, the last sentence says a yes vote is contingent on the project advancing. Isn't it the other way around?
Yeah. Yep. Yep, the project advancing is contingent on a yes vote. So if we do publish something like that, we'll make that change.
And then the whole retaining owner's project manager, should we be also retaining an architect or designer? Not to be too picky,
No.
but
Right.
All right, I'll work with Bill on these comments tomorrow or any other comments we have. And Bill, I don't know if you're going to want to send it back to bond council or not. A lot of it's doesn't have to.
I'll have to send it back.
You'll send it back. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you use architect or would you use designer? What
I think designer.
designer? Okay.
Or
Because I feel like that
design-
covers engineer,
Design
too.
team or something like that, because it's not just the
Yeah,
architect.
commonly it would be AE, architect,
Yeah.
engineer,
Yes.
but
Okay.
designer is
Yeah.
cleaner.
Okay.
Capital D designer.
Good catch.
I would struggle, like, are you architects or engineers? Which one how are we gonna, but I think you guys have both, so.
Any more comments about the warrant language?
Summary need more, less? Are we? It's short, but it's sweet.
No, I like
I think it's,
I
yeah.
mean, really,
It would be good if we could get this summary, yes or no, for the ballot somewhere.
I know. What we could put on the ballot, make it clear for the people.
Next up is the DPW superintendent update.
I don't have much. We've covered most of what I want to talk about. Thank you to everyone who came out to help us at the Celebrate Sterling event. We had a pretty good showing over there. We had tent, machine, and thanks to Blaine and Brian, Tony, Paul, everyone who kind of came out. I don't want to say it was super well attended, but I will say we had some really good conversations. Some long conversations. People were hanging out for like 20 minutes, asking a lot of really good questions. People were really intrigued by the concepts. You know, where is this? How does this shape up? You know what I mean? And I was at least, you know, if we talk to 4 people and educated 4 people, I'm happy with that. Because as you guys know, you put all this time into an info session and you get 2. So for a couple hours on a Saturday, I think it was worth it. So thank you guys for that. We did write an article from the Meeting House News for the Meeting House News. We always worked closely with Joe and the Finance Committee. We shared articles, kind of went back and forth. We did it a little bit differently in the Finance Committee because we didn't have a meeting after the article was written, so we put it in as being addressed by Jonathan, the chairman. Yeah, I don't want to share that yet because we want to kind of keep it until the articles come out.
When they come out next week?
I have no idea.
Something.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
No, something in the middle of the month, yeah. And that's all I had from me particularly.
Weston Sampson, Tony Jeffs?
Yeah, I just want to echo what Orion said about the outing, the Celebrate Sterling outing. I highlight that I thought the Touch-A-Truck thing was a great draw, mostly for kids, but parents came with those kids, and there were a few touch points there. I just thought that was well worth it and worth mentioning. As far as work that we're completing, I think since we've met with this committee, we've received the survey. We're vetting the survey. We've already had a round to go back with some information that was not showing that we want picked up. The surveyor assures us they have the information. They just need to bring it up on the survey. Geotech, we were out last week locating borings in the field, placing stakes, and we're actually starting tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. It could be Wednesday.
I had 8th and 9th, so I think Wednesday. That's what I had written down, unless it's
Then
changed.
that's what it is.
Okay.
I had Tuesday stuck in my head, so we'll be installing borings starting on Tuesday and Wednesday. So last week's activities led up to doing dig saves, so that's all taken care of, and we'll have a green light by first thing Wednesday morning for that. As far as concept development, the site concepts, which we've shared with you, have been on an architectural design platform. Now that we have the survey, we're transferring that onto the civil design software so that we can begin the civil design for the schematic design. That will be completed and submitted for the end of the month. And that will include proper curb alignments and drainage and just schematic design level for full site development. You may still see that those are kind of technical drawings. One of the things Ryan and I have talked about is we'll still maintain some of the schematics of the concept because those are nice color ups and really depict the different operational areas of the site. So we'll be operating on both platforms for a short time. The civil design tends to not color up as well, and it doesn't present as well. So anyway, the last thing I wanted to mention is we have submitted a zoning and permitting review memo for you. And I'm not going to attempt to read this, but I do want to highlight that on page 4, our summary of anticipated permits. We are planning to need to go in front of the planning board and get a site plan review. Also, we'll need a notice of intent and the stormwater management permit from the Conservation Commission. Item number 3 is a construction general permit. That is a document that will be needed, but that will be a document or a permit that will be obtained by the contractor at the construction stage. The contract documents would require the contractor to get that construction general permit. And then number 4, earth removal permit is kind of a question mark. The site plan review decision would not automatically require an earth removal permit unless any, I'm not sure still what to call it, mining or removal, mass removal of material from the site were to happen as part of this project, and I think we're leaning toward it not being part of this contract, this project, it'd be part of the overall concept for the site, maybe included in permitting. We'd have to talk about that. So anyway, the earth removal permit is a question mark right now, depending on what level of earth removal we might have as part of this project. Right. Not in this permit is the any interaction with Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection solid waste. We need to interface with the capping to get in a proper road there. So we'll need to open up discussions with DEP, and there could be some permits there. And then the last one would be mining and USGS. We're still looking into that. I think that we're finding that there would be nothing there as part of this project, but we're going to update this memo to address that solid waste and the mining thing. So that's all I have, Jonathan.
Do we have the limits of the existing landfill? Is it pretty clear and documented?
Unfortunately,
No.
it's
Okay.
not well documented.
Okay.
We have done a file review already at Mass DEP down in Worcester,
Okay.
trying to obtain those documents. I think the closure was, I want to say, early 1990s, and you would have thought the records keeping was better at the time, and it's not as good as we had hoped.
It was capped in house, which is probably part of the reason why. Not a lot of data behind it. I mean, everything was done, the paperwork was done, but there's not a lot of like drawings and as-built and whatnot.
So I assume we'll have to do like test pits or to find the extent.
I don't even know how that would work.
Okay.
Their DEP is very, very sensitive of the cap.
Yeah.
Without knowing where the cap starts and stops, is interesting. That's one of the best state departments I've ever worked with, is the solid waste folks. They're super responsive. They want to help you, but they also don't want to disrupt a landfill or a cap or a liner or anything like that. So how that works, I have no idea, but I do have some good contacts over there should we need to do. If we did a test pit, it would probably be a vac truck or shovel or something like that. But they are very, very protective of the cap and any features related to it, including the swale that runs along the left side that's all incorporated or was put in there as part of the landfill cap. So it's not something we can just blow out or whatever. They're very, very protective of that.
I would just add that I don't know that there's any deal killers there. I think that we can remedy any concerns they have. Typically what we would do is just make the situation better. So that swale, any kind of interactions we would have, we would just kind of update that swale. Any damage that might happen to the cap as we are trying to find out where it is, we would just assure them that it will be repaired and lay out exactly how we would do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me, Ryan. Is there any thing on record when the the police station had problems with that cap? Did
we did
anybody look at that?
Probably looked at for the same stuff that I've been looking for. That's where I have most of my information from the 07, 08 timeframe.
Okay.
And when they did all the testing, and that pretty much is whether that problem went away or whether it was something was remedied. We're not longer having those issues. We're testing it like quarterly now. So, but I have all that information and we've gone through it all, not even related to this project. We went through it because of landfill stuff and there's still not great information. So they kind of redrew a lot during that time, but they can only redraw what they can see. Right. So what they can't see is what we don't know, you know.
Thank you, Tony. OPM update, Steve or Brian?
Yeah, I could speak to it to at least start out. The public presentation and the mailers was most of what we wanted to bring. Brian and Mike kind of coordinating prior to the meeting to get to prepare. We didn't really speak more to the public presentation part. We want to do any more? We want to do some. So where do we want to do it and what can we, what was the
We
pleasure?
talked about the senior.
I think the
potentially.
Yeah,
senior
that-
population
yeah,
is
yeah.
gonna be the most,
Yep.
I don't wanna say responsive, but you'll get the most viewers, you know what I mean? And Dick, I don't know, I'm not putting you on the spot, correct me if I'm wrong, but like, we could probably organize something down there and you'd get 20, 30, maybe more people to show up.
Yeah.
And better than the 2 to 3 that we might have here.
Yeah.
If we decide to put something on, so, if we were to do something, I'd say it would be there. How much time do you think to muster something like that up? A week, 2 weeks, to like, by the time you put the date out? Do they have email blasts?
It would be a matter of getting the information out about the meeting.
Right, that's what, yeah,
And the timeline on their board, it'd have to be some other way of doing it besides the seniors and the board.
okay,
Um,
okay,
Your highway sign,
right,
any other way.
Okay.
You can do the TV thing without
Yeah.
any problem.
yeah. I still need to reach out to Lex. So they wanted to do an interview. We can kind of do a question and answer with Lex, who's set up the Celebrate Sterling thing. And that can go on SLC TV as well, so that'll be more questions and answers. You know, a little bit of an interview, so I gotta reach out to her. I haven't done that.
Are there any events at the senior center, you think, in the next month that we
I
could,
have no idea.
No.
to tell you
I wonder if we could just piggyback on something that's already planned.
Yeah.
We've gone in like after coffee hour, that kind of thing. We've done that before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The director to have them advise as to what might work.
That's once a month, right? The pancakes,
The last Friday of the month.
last Friday of the month.
There is an activity within a half an hour of the ending of that pancake. But
Okay,
it's not all clear sailing.
I got you. Okay. Very busy down there.
They are.
That's all I had. Brian, if you have anything to add, Brian?
Just to pile on with what Tony and Ryan said, thanks to everyone. I thought that was a good event, and not only the conversations were good, but also some of the questions that came out of it. I think we need to incorporate that into our presentations. I think the first question out of most of the residents that came by said, "Where is this?" And
Right.
it was kind of like, "Oh my gosh, we need to show where our project location is in relation to the town itself, not just the Lego pieces that we have on the site plans." So just for our deliverables here, we'll be putting together we'll send some FAQs over that can be incorporated into the town website. We want to cater our presentation and get a draft going for that, for whether it's this senior center presentation, but also starting to refine that for the 10 minutes that maybe will be allotted. Incorporating some of this education piece that we're talking about at the beginning, but also hitting our high notes. And I think with our Wednesday meeting, Ryan, I'm putting together maybe some questions that we could propose to either the town or the finance committee on where we receive some of our data from regarding the borrowing and the bonds. And that was great data, which shows anticipated interest rate, what the single family value home would be and what that cost would be. But I think that there's also more data that we could put into this for more of a town meeting setting, where what's the payment going to be throughout the life of a borrow, if there's any other debt with the town that's going to be coming off, all of which that we can get out there just to put everything on the table so that someone has a kind of a holistic view as to what this project would cost throughout the life of a borrow.
So one other thing, I feel like after the town meeting, we're only gonna have 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
20th, 3.
So 3
less than
weeks?
3.
We probably have to have a plan of what we're gonna do for those 3 weeks too, because that's when we'll have to educate about the ballot vote
Right. How it's the best way to,
to do it.
is it, you know, do we have a postcard in the waiting, right? So if we pass postcard and get out, reminder, this, you know, like from the town, this is happening on November 20th, right? I think it's the 20th. You know, and obviously have council review it. I don't know if we can do the yes means this, no means this, or what on something like that, but that might be the best way to get out and
Yeah.
really double hitting them, you know, mailer for the town meeting and kind of
Postcard after that.
hold back on it a little bit. Once the third passes, green light that. And then that might be the best way to do it.
That would be ideal if you could get the summary of what yes and no
I
vote,
know.
but
Make it very clear.
anything else from Vertex? No. Okay, nothing else that wants to discuss. We can set the next week's meeting or the next meeting we have.
Is that in 2 weeks?
Yes.
Spooky walk. That's Monday.
That's spooky walk. We can't do spooky walk.
21st work for that week then?
It's okay with me.
I have something going on.
Actually, the only thing we might want to try to do it the week before if we're trying to get a mailer approved, right?
Right.
If we could get this week's working session on Wednesday and next week's working session, maybe that can be finalized. Do you think next Thursday, the
So
16th?
finance committee meets next Thursday. I was gonna ask you, is anyone planning on attending that? Should we post that meeting to be safe?
That's the 16th?
That's the 16th. Yep. Just to have 5 in a room kind of thing, or more than 3 in a room. I know I'm gonna attend.
I can attend too.
I just didn't know. I want to be safe for open meeting law. You guys meet at 5?
Yes.
We can meet after.
Yeah, does that work for?
That would be fine
16th?
with me.
I think we should post it just in case.
Okay.
That would be for October 16th.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll post 2 meetings because we would meet
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
How long do you guys expect to go? Like, I want to make sure Mark can come over if you want. You know what I mean? Unless that's too. But
Oh,
like, I think what
Right, for fun.
90 minutes,
all
probably.
right, so 6:30.
Yeah, we have a presentation from Stephen Wallace.
Oh, for the zoning stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So 5 there, 6:30 back here? Or should we do 7 here still?
So that might be just too long in between
Yeah.
the two. We can always delay it. We just can't
Yeah.
start before.
Okay.
So honestly, we could say 6
Why don't
and
we
then
say
just
Okay, let's
delay
say
our
6.
start.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I learned that when we did the thing with the meetings, with the tours. We can start after, you just can't start before. So I'll post it for 6 and then we can.
And hopefully we can then approve any mailer we want to send out at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, you're right. That'll give us 2 meetings to work on it.
That's good.
Were
Anything
there
else?
2 dates? Was there another one besides Thursday, the
Just
16th?
the 16th. Yep. Just the 16th.
Okay, thank you.
Full. It's a full calendar.
Anything else? Everybody? Jack, you good?
I'm good. Thanks, guys.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.